Hello and welcome to The Experience podcast. I am a multi-dimensional spiritual being that's having a human experience. And my name is Neil, and joining me today is Dennis and Jesse and his wife. And I invite you to introduce yourselves and we'll continue.
So my name is Dennis, and I am a flash of light in a moment of time.
Yeah, well, my name is Jesse, and I too believe I am an eternal being. That I mean, same lingo you guys use is definitely something that I agree with. I use a little bit different terminology, but definitely we're beings of love, light, and will exist for eternity. And so we love the connection we have with our Heavenly Father in that context.
My name is Irina, married to Jesse, and together we are on this beautiful journey of discovering our missions and helping others to become who they're supposed to be, who they were created to be, find themselves, and help them to be in the really beautiful marriages, heaven and earth marriages.
So how did you guys, can you get a little bit of a background on where you come from, how you ended up where you are, and just a little bit of a brief, maybe a little bit of a autobiography, if you will.
Yeah, so my background, if that's what you're asking, has to do with being previously Amish. And so the Old Order Amish from Napanee, Indiana is the place of my origin. And at the age of 30, I chose to embrace truth. And by not recanting that truth, I was ultimately excommunicated and started a new journey in life that has been the most exciting leg of my journey in life up to this point. And the spiritual hunger that I had literally from birth, I just, every season of my life, as soon as I bumped my head on a ceiling, I would break through it into a new level of spiritual experience and a deeper connection with our Heavenly Father. And so, I mean, I guess depends how much details you want or which direction you would like for me to go. I mean, it's a broad question as far as autobiography. We could write a book, so.
I can fill in if needed.
Yeah.
So I was born and grew up in Russia, and 25 years ago, my family moved, all of us, my parents, my sisters, all moved to the States. We've been here since then. I actually lived in multiple states, arrived to Florida, then we lived in Colorado for 15 years, and then California. Then from California, moved to Florida. So I've been traveling quite a bit, and in the kind of got into different lifestyles of, you know, coming from where I grew up, which was a beautiful and great place, and then learning American lifestyle, American dream in a way, right? And understanding that that was actually not the way to go for me. You know, I went through university, got my degrees, and had a career, lost it all, and then finally discover, like Jesse was saying, discover the truth and start to completely shifting my journey. In that journey, I've been actually looking to meet my husband since I was 1 year old. And as crazy as it sounds, I was looking for my husband. And every time I would see a guy who I'm attracted to, or I look at him, be like, is he the one? I need to find out, you know? And it's kind of interesting, but that actually brought me to a very deep hurt. And then because of that, I came to the Father, received Christ, and then became a believer. And that led me to the journey where we're at now. Then the years later, someone knocked on my social media door and introduced or invited me to online course for singles. It's called Fast Track to Marriage. And that's how Jesse and I met. We were there both practicing. We're hungry to learn and to grow and to understand what it is that we're missing, why we wanted to be married, but we couldn't understand why we can't get married. We're successful in so many areas, so many ways, and that was still part of where we were missing out on, or we didn't know how to move forward. And so I met Jesse through there, and we practiced together. We didn't actually look at each other as a potential spouse, but in that practicing, when you're starting to connect with a person on the spiritual level, on the soul level, then you start seeing the true person. And that's where we recognized each other and decided to move forward with a relationship. And very close after that, a month after that, Jesse proposed, and 2 days later we got married. So that's kind of like how we got together. And right after that, we both quit our jobs and decided to help other singles, to lead them towards the things that we learn and help them to get, you know, educated and equipped so they can be prepared to meet their person and to have a beautiful marriage.
Yes, and in the process of, you know, attracting that ideal spouse, we recognize that we have to become that which we want.
Yeah.
And we attract that which we are. And so there's a process involved in that we walk older singles especially through that process, you know, and both of us were in our 40s when we got married for the first time. And I was, you know, bachelor of the community, and that's how everyone knew me.
Bachelor Jesse.
Bachelor Jesse. And I lived in Libby, Montana for the past 4 years prior to marriage. And I too was desperate and hungry to learn why am I not married, and what am I not understanding here. And a friend invited me to this Fast Track to Marriage challenge. It's a 5-day Facebook event. You know, just $7 for the PDF ebook workbook, and I signed on. And they did 2 more in the subsequent months. And by By the third month, they created a course that I then just promptly invested into that course. And 3 months after doing that course with all more intensive hands-on training and coaching, we got married. So we literally met in person one time.
Yeah.
And the second time we met at a retreat, which at the retreat, I proposed to her, and 48 hours later, we got married. So we got on the fast track towards marriage, and then we dated after we got married.
So we took that literally, right? It says fast track to marriage. We took it literally. But, you know, it was interesting because through that journey, we discovered that we had so many fears and so many things that were holding us back from getting married and finding that person. And we didn't even know about it. You know, it's like other people would tell you, oh, well, because of that. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What is that? And then you don't, even if you don't know how to actually overcome that. So we had to face that together. And at the retreat, we broke through a lot of things that was painful and joyful at the same time, because when you get rid of old stuff or something that's been holding you back, the journey becomes so much more joyful, and you don't have to carry the stuff that you carried the whole life, right? It's been amazing.
And when we get rid of the old, the new always shows up.
That's right.
Yes, when you take that step. So like connecting on a spiritual level, like how does that look like for you as a married couple? Like what is the difference between connecting on a spiritual level and connecting in general, and then just like connecting via communication?
Okay, that's
good.
that seems like a holistic question. So we recognize that we're three-part beings, body, soul, and spirit, and all three aspects of our being are required for a holistic approach to connection. And so we started with a spiritual connection, which is literally communicating our spiritual experiences and revelations and things that, you know, we got out of God's word that were revelation to us, and share that back and forth. You know, like basically started doing our daily devotionals together and sharing them with each other. And, you know, then also from that, you know, we started sharing more on an emotional level, with more our dreams, our goals, and our victories. And that created more of a soul connection. And then obviously the physical connection happened in marriage.
Yeah.
So those three aspects still continue to this day, all three parts.
And, you know, for us as a spiritual being, we can feel each other. We can even kind of sense each other's thoughts, right? So it's really profound. I've never experienced anything like that before prior to marriage. And because we are, you know, as one, when we get married, we become one with each other, we can sense each other so deeply. I can be in my office, Jesse's in his office, and then he sends something that's going on with me, and then he messages me or comes and be like, hey, is this like, what's going on? I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you know? I'm just going through this. And, you know, even thoughts, I would even think of something, and then he asks me that question that I just thought. It's been beautiful to have that, you know, and as Jesse said, we have special routines that we do in the mornings to connect spiritually and obviously physically and on the soul level. So there's a lot of things connecting with your mission and your purpose in life, having a vision for life, and that is also a connection between two people. And usually people get attracted when they have something in common as well, right?
And that we have what we call MVP, mission, vision, and your peculiar. The mission can be found, defined by asking, who are you? And the answer to that question should fit in any area of your life. In all areas of your life, the who are you will fit in. And the what do you do is the vision, more so a little bit. Now, this is just our one little piece of the pie on this topic. It's a huge subject in itself. So I'm not saying that this is all that we have about the mission, vision, peculiar, but who are you? What do you do? And the what do you do should also be answered with a question that will fit all areas of your life, whether it's, your daily work life, or whether it's spiritually or whatever. It doesn't matter. And then how do you do it is what makes you peculiar. How do you love people well is the uniqueness that nobody else has the same thumbprint on the how quite like each individual himself does. And so once those three are identified, then often singles will know what they're looking for, because to the term equally yoked obviously is the picture of two oxen pulling in the same direction, pulling the same load, and they have the same mission. They're pulling the same plow, and they both have uniquenesses, but they have the same mission and a similar vision.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we discover our MVP, we're then able to better tell if it's a good match, because the ideal match is also going to have a similar MVP. And then personality differences no longer matter. And it's more about whether they're equally yoked on their mission in life. And we've seen equal rates of divorce amongst couples that had same personality and couples that had different opposite personalities. And we discovered that the key factor was whether they were on the same mission, that had a determining factor on the longevity of their connection in marriage and staying married.
And by mission, would you relate that to their purpose as well?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mission would be the purpose.
Your
their
purpose, your why are you here on the planet?
What are you here to
What are you here
contribute
to
to the
contribute?
planet?
Mm-hmm.
This is backtracking a little bit, but I really appreciated how you said that what you attract what you are. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that statement, as far as you and your wife it sounds to me like you were both growing in this aspect and trying to become this better, more connected, more contributing to society, and etc. And can you elaborate a little bit more on that statement?
Yes. So there's a lot that we don't even understand about that. We just recognize that it happens, and it's a truth that is profound and largely unknown to the generally out there. Just society in general is. If we operate in love, we're going to attract more love into our lives. And likewise the opposite, the undesirable characteristics and aspects, if those are broadcast from us, we're going to, it's the law of sowing and reaping ultimately.
And attraction.
The law of attraction is basically sowing and reaping. In its very core, whatever thoughts we cultivate is ultimately going to produce words, and our words have power and authority and impact on our environment. And our words and connected to our belief system will create our environment. And then our environment seems to confirm what we believe, and it's a self-fulfilling cycle that keeps people stuck, because they think, well, this is my situation, I can't change it. I'm a victim of my circumstances, whereas actually they sowed those seeds, and now they're reaping the circumstances attached to that which they sowed in ignorance, and they didn't realize that they were sowing that, because they felt justified in feeling that way because XYZ did this to me. And so they hang on to that bitterness, that negativity, and then they just loop that back out and reap more of it. And so to break that requires forgiveness, healing, operating in love, and making choices to plant different seeds, and thereby, yeah, it's a huge topic. We could probably have fun talking about it for a while, but
Yeah.
I guess that'd be my shotgun explanation. Would you like to?
Yeah.
You have a lot more to share as well on that.
So, I see it as when you're developing as a person, right? We're always developing. There's never a stop to that. You are becoming who you want to become. Eventually, hopefully, some people are, for some reason, are stuck on their couches and they are not going anywhere, right? If that's what they want to be, well, good. But like Jesse said, sometimes a lot of people are victims and they are not taking responsibility for their life and their choices, right? And we see a lot of that. A lot of the people who are in those positions, they put themselves there, and they're easily controlled. But if you are developing, if you are preparing for not just for your marriage and for your spouse, but whoever you are, you automatically going to attract into your life, right? And if you want to attract someone, and even in friendships, right, in business, doesn't matter what you do. If you want to attract certain personality, certain quality of people into your life, you need to start becoming that. You need to learn how to be that. You can't just attract someone. I mean, it happens too, right? It happens that people come to your life, teachers maybe, and when a student is ready, teacher appears. But as a woman, for me, when I was looking and desiring for a husband, I was preparing. I knew what qualities I was looking for in the man, what character, and what even things like I was looking for things that my mission is in. Like my mission is to transform lives. And we do it in a different ways. For me, as a woman, I love helping women to find themselves and finally know who they are and be in that, right? In that person, in that spirit, in that soul, in the body, and love themselves. And then, of course, if you love yourself, do you think your husband is going to love you? Right? Yeah. And if you are being good to others, to yourself and to your husband, that's going to come back to you. So there's so much. We're all always growing and expanding in that area too.
And that would lead into the challenge we faced, and in the question we were asking ourselves, why aren't we getting married? Why aren't we meeting this person that we desire? If we're doing all this preparation and becoming the ideal spouse, what's hindering? And it came quite simply down to, like for me, it was fear. Fear blocks all sorts of things from coming into your life. Now, obviously, fear is the opposite of love. If we're talking about the negative type of fear, I'm not speaking about fear as in the old English meaning of reverence and honor and due respect, but the negative fear. So I had fear of commitment. And so as long as I had a fear of commitment, I was pushing away commitment, and therefore I wasn't ready to receive that which I desired. So I was literally maintaining an aura that kept commitment from coming into my life to where or anything from coming into my life that would require commitment. And as soon as I got rid of that, boom, here comes Irina. Like very, very quickly.
Yep.
So what was your step-by-step process to going from having this fear of commitment to being free of it and being able to embody something new, and in that way attract a new situation into your life? Like, what's your recipe?
Action. That which you fear disappears once you take action on that thing. So first of all, it requires an awareness of that which you fear. Once you do, you take action on it. Action always causes fears to disappear. It's the very thing. Like, just imagine every risk that everyone in the world has ever taken that became into something bigger than themselves, that became successful and that exploded in popularity. There always was a risk and a fear to push through. And the action takers are the ones that strike the gold, whether it's in businesses, in relationships, whatever. Wherever you take action to push through and walk through that fear, the fear ends up being like a wall of wet toilet paper once you take action. Fear is an illusion. It's a creation in our own mind.
Yep. And, other things too, what we discovered is that sometimes it's like I mentioned, I had fear of marrying the wrong person and getting stuck and not being able to get out of it. So I was stuck in the victim mentality, right? So I have no choice in that. And the fear that is just, it didn't make sense, because when my mentor approached me and she cornered me pretty much and said, "How long are you going to be running?" For me, that was a scary question, because that was me. That was my lifestyle. As soon as the man in my life gets serious and starts talking about marriage, I would put on the fastest tennis shoes and start running, because that was fear for me. Is this the right person? Am I going to be okay? Can I live with this person for the rest of my life? And so awareness and recognition of what is the fear and why I have it, right? So you would go deeper sometimes is to uproot that. You need to see that. And the other thing is that she said, well, do you not believe that you can create your own marriage? Like, you have the choice. Again, the responsibility and the choice. And it's interesting because, we get so conditioned with certain things, with certain strategies, with certain recipe, for instance, for life, right? We have a recipe where, what do you call it? I think it's a recipe, right? When they say you go to school, you get good grades, then you graduate, you go to college, you get good grades, you graduate from college, you meet your spouse, you get married, you buy a house, you have children, you have a career. So it's like a recipe for American life, right? For a beautiful dream. Well, if we are conditioned in certain things, or we see some things over and over again, we begin to believe it. And then we become it, right? And so it's in the same way, you can break that belief and say, no more. It's not truth anymore. I'm not that. I'm not even married. Why would I even be stuck in the wrong marriage with the wrong person? Do I not have a discernment? Yes, I have a choice. And so a lot of those things for me was able to break those beliefs, those fears, taking action, making a decision, and be responsible for your decisions, right? And because of that, also recognizing, like for me, choosing a partner who is not only willing to work and grow through things, but he is doing it already. Like together we can make things happen so much quicker because both of us are in action all the time.
So she said it so beautifully, where I got a couple more things that I'd like to express further on what I shared previously was, so it's first the thing of asking the question to oneself, what's holding me back? And whatever answer comes out of the heart is usually attached to an agreement, to something that's not true, or a fear. Acknowledging that, recognizing that, okay, this is what's going on, and being aware, and then choosing the opposite with a decision. Making a decisive decision to choose the opposite, which is usually going to be something that's positive and good and liberating and freeing, and then take the action. So it's basically a revelation and an acknowledgement and a discovery, followed by a decision, followed by action.
Which, it's beautiful because it's empowering, right? We're powerful beings. And if anyone tells us any different, they're lying. And like Jesse and I, we've been married for almost 2 years now, and we have a beautiful marriage that both of us created, and we continue to create it. And it's a daily job, but we love it because, we chose that, and we are creators, right? Naturally, spiritual beings are creators. So that's kind of our another part of it too, is that we get to create what we want.
Yeah, and the creating what we want, we recognize that taps into, God creates with his spoken word, and with us being created in his image after his likeness, our words too have creative power. And so we recognize that everything that's upon the earth, if authority and dominion has been delegated to man, then everything upon the earth and how it's going has been created by man. And so man also has the power and the authority to change it. And so that would come into our long-term vision. What we sometimes liken to as our 1,000-year plan is to obviously that's bigger than ourselves and beyond us, but then again probably not, because if we recognize we're eternal beings, it's more like a graduation of sorts. And there's a whole lot that we could talk about there, but that's for another time. But is the thing of, we are responsible for ourselves first, and then branch out from there. It's kind of like starting from home plate, starting at our Jerusalem is usually ourselves in our own heart, and then going to the ends of the earth from there.
Yeah.
And spreading the freedom that comes through letting go of the old and embrace and making room for that which you want. To receive what we want often requires a releasing something that's actually holding us back.
Yeah.
The things that hold us back are sometimes seen as something that we need, where it's actually not. It's hurting and harming and holding us back. And by letting it go, we make space for something, a new creation to come forth.
So do you feel that the pain of staying the same for you guys was less than the power of change?
I think my answer is yes. I'm just trying to understand the question.
Okay, so you talked a lot about our words. We're creators. We're powerful creators. But I feel like in life there's sometimes pain associated with change for a lot of people. And like, how did you guys go? Like, was that a painful transition of stepping into your power and now creating that being that you knew that you were all along? Or was it more painful to stay in the same position that you were at in life?
That's good. Yes, the pain of staying the same was definitely such that we were willing to embrace the pain of change wholeheartedly and plow forward and just like, so I came to a point where I was willing to move anywhere upon the face of the earth that I needed to move to. I was willing to sell everything I need to sell. I was like that, sold out to, I was like, whatever it takes, I just opened myself up to change to that degree, to where I was willing to give up whatever it takes to get that which I desired, which in that time was marriage. I wanted a good wife, and I didn't want just any wife. It wasn't about getting married. It was about finding my soulmate. So yes, absolutely. I was done with the pain of staying the same and staying comfortable and staying safe, and was willing to embrace the pain of change. And as soon as I did that, the pain of change wasn't as painful as the fear of change tried to convince me of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's similarly, if you're afraid of heights and somebody tells you that they just went and jumped out of airplane with a parachute and they had a beautiful experience, you would say, wow, you're crazy. How could you even have a good experience when it's like so terrifying, right? Well, if you try that, at least go and take a chance. The letting go of things is so much easier when you have that beautiful vision in front of you, and you just trusting that that step is going to be, you're going to be okay. You know, it's going to be fine. And I think that's easier to do when you have that faith.
And, you know, of course, in that process, we had to create a vision for what we desired and wanted.
Yeah.
If people don't have a vision, there's no motivation to reach for something and to embrace the pain of change
Yeah.
and let go of the pain of change staying the same. And that's probably the biggest challenge we encounter in reaching out to singles, is they don't have a vision for what they want. They become complacent and comfortable, and so they don't even recognize the wholeness that is available by yoking up with their bride, you know, equally yoked, one flesh, you know, becoming one in beautiful harmony, walking together. It's like a dance. And so, you know, as singles, we were both successful. We were leaders in our own right and had everything going for us in life. You know, Irina was, she was doing well without a man in her life. I was doing well without a wife in my life, but we were comfortable, and we were no longer comfortable staying comfortable. You know, in other words, staying comfortable became painful. It's kind of like sitting in a very comfy chair. It feels wonderful, but if you sit in that same position long enough, it ceases to be comfortable.
So did you both feel whole at that point? No?
We're still not whole. That's, you know, that's one thing I know you said earlier, is that finally operating in the being that we were created to be. We're still discovering that. We're still stepping into that. We're still growing into that. And, you know, I think it's a ongoing process, you know, for as long as we're here on earth, we are going to grow into it. If we become all that we know to be, guess what? Life is going to get boring, you know, because you stop developing, and when you're not growing, you're dying, right? There's no, if there's, your mind is not expanding, then you become stagnant.
Would you clarify that question, Dennis, about the whole, what you asked her about whole?
Yes. So I guess my question was, like, you guys were both very successful at the point that when you met each other. Like, did you feel, I mean, obviously you were looking for your soulmates, but did you feel a sense of wholeness within yourself other than the soulmate? Like, did you feel whole and complete in your other areas of life other than the relationship aspect?
As much as we were, that we had, as much as we had revelation and understanding on, yes.
Yeah.
We were as whole and as complete in and of ourselves as we knew how. And yet there was a spouse-shaped hole waiting to be filled, kind of like two puzzle pieces. Each puzzle piece is complete in itself, but when you put them together, you get a little bit more of a broader picture.
And, you know, Dennis, it's a great question. Thank you for going further and explaining it. You know, it's interesting. We don't say that we're each other's half.
I love that. That is,
yeah, that's where you were going, right?
that's exactly where I was going. Thank you.
We believe 1 + 1 = 1 when it comes to relationships.
Yeah.
It's just a bigger one.
It's we're not missing or anything, but what we discovered, Dennis, this is beautiful. What we discovered is that we were operating in what we knew as singles, right? Like, for instance, if you have a horse and you are, you know, you have a buggy with a horse, the one horse is going to lead you in a certain speed, right? And it won't be able to go as far as two horses. But when you have two horses, what happens? The speed not only doubles, it actually goes further than that, because the power of a horsepower to double horses,
especially oxen.
And oxen. So when we say equally yoked, we discovered that when we got married, not only the new heights of authority opened up, the new awareness started opening up, and we were able to step into new area and do much more together than we were able to accomplish by ourselves.
Recognizing that as singles, we can go faster alone, but we go further together.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
even a farmer who works with oxen knows that one ox can pull twice its weight. But when you yoke two oxen together, they can each pull 3 times their weight.
So you get my first, and then business, I've been working in business for multiple years. And if you don't have a business partner, or you're not yoked up with anyone in business, you're a one-person universe, and you're trying to do everything by yourself. And we all have gifts that we are exceeding or expelling it, or oh gosh, the word escapes me, that we are good at. Yeah, we are good at, right? And another person have gifts that they're good at. And when you come together, you might be able to balance things better and go further, because you are implementing your gifts and skills.
So I believe we see marriage more as a balancing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
partnership,
a balancing, a completion of two whole beings coming together in unity, in one flesh, equally yoked.
Yeah.
On the same mission, pulling the same load, pulling in the same direction, not doing the tug of war thing.
Yeah.
Opposite missions is often the greatest cause of tug of war in relationships that we've found.
Yeah, and we don't like to use language, oh, this person completes me. Because like, who can complete you, right? Yeah.
We recognize that we ourselves had to both be complete in and of ourselves to reach a higher level of completeness together as one.
And we continue on doing that.
Yeah.
It's my responsibility to continue growing with the Father, deeper connection with him, so I can know who I am even on a deeper level. So I can be the person that does all the things. And then when we're together, we're so much stronger. He's not responsible for my growth, and I can't even ask him to be responsible for me. So it's like, how can you complete someone when you're a being, right? There's nothing that is missing.
I love that. And then I love how you're also speaking to like the balancing aspect, and how even though you feel like whole, there's still growth to happen. There's still creation being expressed, and there's still moving forward and learning and implementation of past experience, and it's a balancing going on, remembering this completion, remembering the entirety of what our potential is.
Yeah, I say it's a dance. Every day we learn a new move in a dance, and you can move your own steps, but together it becomes a dance. It's beautiful.
Everyone can dance alone. Just happens it's so much fun to dance with someone.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that's listening, like, do you guys have a website that people can reach you, like if they are single, if they do want advice on how to meet their soulmate, or is there a way that they can reach you guys other than a website? Do you have any resources?
We do, and some of those resources are developing as we speak. We are very organic And in our approach to how we reach out to people is we literally we make a phone call, or we message them. We try to get as hands-on as quickly as possible because we recognize that true connection doesn't happen through only messaging. And as great as social media is, a true connection always, whatever platform we use to connect with someone, always needs to point towards the most real communication possible. In other words, a text message should lead to a phone call. A phone call should lead to a video chat. A video chat should lead to meeting in person.
Mhm.
Like but in person is our heart. But obviously, being us going global, that's not necessarily possible. So peculiarsanctuary.com is our website, and we're in the middle of upgrading that website.
Mhm.
We also have a Facebook group called the Connection Tribe. That's a private group that can be joined by anyone by just sending a request to join.
Mhm.
Beyond that, simply our phone numbers or our Facebook page. If somebody wants to send us a friend request.
With YouTube channel as a Radical Connections TV.
Yeah, we have
That's from us personally. So Peculiar Sanctuary, it's not just us. We are partnered up with our mentors, and they're the creators of tools that we teach. And then we also have our own things that we like to help people with. But usually we are yoked up with them as well. So Peculiar Sanctuary, that they are they're creating and they create it, and we are yoking up with them in that.
So basically, we do not own Peculiar Sanctuary. We are co-partners with the founders. And our Radical Connections TV on YouTube, that is our own creation. That comes under Peculiar Sanctuary. Peculiar Sanctuary is our parent company that we work for. We chose to yoke up with the founders, who also officiated our wedding and facilitated us coming together. And
Wow.
we decided to link up with their mission because it played such a huge role in our lives. It was so impactful that we decided we recognize the pain that a lot of older singles experience in being single for such a long time. And we get it. We understand. We've walked that out for 20, 25 years. And so we understand the heart language and the heart cry of a lot of older singles, and we can connect with that and show them how to overcome the things that are blocking them, that they aren't aware that are holding them back. So yes, peculiarsanctuary.com, Radical Connections TV on YouTube, The Connection Tribe on Facebook, or us on Facebook privately. Me being Jesse Kauffman and my wife Irina Kauffman, spelled Irina. It looks like Irina. And then we could, of course, give our phone numbers. My number is 727-294-1580.
And mine is 720-933-2587.
And we'll be sure to link that in the description as well. That way people can reach out to you guys, and you can continue to be the contribution to everyone. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Neil, would you do you have anything else, Neil? You want to do the outro?
I feel fully complete, and I just want to express my gratitude to Jesse and to his wife, Irina, for coming on and being here, and I greatly appreciated the depth of where this conversation went. And thank you guys for being you and gals, and I appreciate you and respect you.
We appreciate you as well. Thank you for having us on your show, and we're grateful that we can spread the word and help more people and get to know you better. Next time we'll ask you questions.
Yes, we'll definitely do this again. I really appreciate you guys. You have a
So much.
blessed rest of the day.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, blessings.
And Neil.
You're very welcome. See you.
Bye.
Bye, all.